So hello
hello
guys.
guys. Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum.
How are you all?
So today we are going to talk about a very important topic. We will be discussing my beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Priya will tell us about our noble Prophet, peace be upon him. Before our beloved Prophet Muhammad set foot on the land of Arabia, the people there survived only on dates in the salty water of the sea. But when our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, stepped into that desert, when he set foot on the land of Arabia, that barren desert blossomed like a garden. The arrival of our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, was such a blessing that it brought prosperity to the land. People were no longer limited to just dates and water. They began to receive all kinds of provisions. The coming of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was so miraculous that it transformed the entire land, bringing life, blessings, and abundance to the people.
So today, I will tell you about the greatness of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. When our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, set foot in Arabia, a land that had always been barren, where drought was constant and even dates were scarce, everything changed. His arrival brought transformation, not just to the land, but to the people as well. I will tell you about a tribe whose conflict led to a war that lasted for 40 years over a trivial matter. It all started when a guest's camel from one tribe mistakenly wandered into the pasture of another tribe. Just because of this small mistake, a war broke out in Arabia that continued for 4 decades. Can you imagine the temperament of those people? Their anger was so intense that they fought over a minor incident for 40 years, and in that prolonged conflict, nearly 70,000 people from both sides lost their lives, all because of a single camel. But when our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, arrived in Arabia, he transformed even these highly aggressive and warlike people. His teachings instilled such discipline and self-restraint in them that they began to perform prayers, salah, even during battles. Think about it. Those who had been fighting over the smallest matters for decades were now standing in prayer on the battlefield itself. This was the impact of our beloved Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, teachings. Despite all efforts for peace and reconciliation, when all negotiations failed, our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, had no choice but to take part in battle to protect himself and his followers.
Our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, always desired peace. He never wanted war, not in Arabia or anywhere else. His goal was to establish harmony and prevent conflict. However, when people refused to accept peace and continued to engage in battles, someone had to step in. That is why our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, eventually participated in war, but he completely changed the strategy of warfare. Instead of destruction, he brought justice, discipline, and a new way of governance. Under his leadership, the entire Arabian Peninsula came under control, not through oppression, but through wisdom, patience, and divine guidance.
In that battle, the number of human lives lost was less than a few hundred. So you can imagine that in such a long war, if someone tried to stop it, how many more lives could have been lost? How many more deaths could have occurred? But our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, guided the people in such a way, made them agree to peace, and ensured that the entire Arabian Peninsula came under his control. Yet the number of people who died in those conflicts remained below 100 because our Prophet always sought peace. He never desired war. He explained things in such a way that people understood. Our Prophet taught the barbaric Arabs the worship of Almighty Allah and the importance of offering prayers, salah, not just individually, but in congregation. Even at that time, just like today, there were 5 daily prayers. But how did people offer prayers on the battlefield? While one group performed salah, the other remained engaged in battle. Once the first group finished praying, they would return to the battlefield, and the second group would then offer their prayers. Just think about the transformation that took place due to the presence of our Prophet. Even in the middle of a battle, people did not forget their prayers. They fought against their enemies while ensuring that their connection with Allah remained intact. Once, people fought over something as trivial as a camel, but now they were remembering Allah even in the midst of battle. One particular aspect of warfare during our Prophet's time stood out to me. When I read about it, I felt it was essential to share it with others. Today, if a war breaks out anywhere, do we ever hear of such strict rules being followed? In those battles, it was strictly commanded that dead bodies should not be mutilated, no harm should come to the elderly, children, or women, regardless of their faith. No one was to be deceived, and there was to be no treachery. Even palm trees and fruit-bearing trees were not to be cut down or burned. Monks and ascetics, who had renounced worldly affairs and dedicated themselves to worship, were also not to be harmed. These were the strict rules laid down during battle. Just imagine, such strong ethical standards were upheld even in war. But today, when conflicts arise, do we even consider sparing the innocent? Instead, we often act out of anger and seek to inflict harm without distinction. After the conquest of Mecca, our prophet had full authority over the city. This was the very place where he had been persecuted, where his companions had been exiled. The people of Mecca had tormented him so much that living there became impossible for him. But now the entire city was at his feet. He had every right to take revenge on those who had wronged him, expelled him, and boycotted him. Yet what did he do? Following the rules of war, he declared, "Today there is no blame on you. You are all free." Think about it. Those who had tortured him, who had driven him and his followers out, were standing before him. And yet, our prophet forgave them. He even pardoned his fiercest enemies, including those responsible for the martyrdom of his beloved uncle, Hazrat Hamza, R.A. They had not only killed him, but had also mutilated his body and even chewed on his liver. Yet the prophet forgave them.
This teaches us the universal message of brotherhood and forgiveness. Many religions emphasize kindness, but our prophet put it into practice in the most extraordinary way. He provided a real-world example of compassion and justice that is unmatched.
Even Sarojini Naidu, a renowned Indian leader, once said that Islam was the first religion to establish democracy. She observed that when the call to prayer, adhan, was given, and people gathered for prayer, Islam's democratic spirit was manifested 5 times a day. A king and a servant stood shoulder to shoulder proclaiming, "Allahu Akbar," Allah is the greatest. There was no distinction between them. She further expressed her admiration for the unity in Islam, stating that when people of different nationalities, whether from America, Algeria, or India, stood together in prayer, there was no discrimination. Everyone was equal before Allah.
As the famous line goes, meaning in the rows of prayer, all stand equal. Whether a ruler or a servant, all distinctions disappear. Our prophet united people as brothers, even in times of war. He preached unity, forgiveness, and love. Even in the most difficult situations, he gave the message of brotherhood and peace. He forgave those whom no one else would have forgiven, showing us the path of mercy. My only request to you all is to follow the teachings of our prophet. What does Islam teach us? It teaches us forgiveness, kindness, and patience. It teaches us to let go of anger and hatred. If you found this message meaningful, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video. Allah Hafiz.